Your brain just did something remarkable. In the time it took you to read that sentence, millions of neurons fired in perfect sequence, faster than the fastest supercomputer on Earth. But here's what nobody tells you. The way your brain fires might be completely different from everyone around you. And if you've ever felt like you see the world differently, like you notice things others miss, like your thoughts move in patterns nobody else seems to follow, you're not imagining it. Science has discovered that some minds are wired in ways that make them statistical outliers. Not better, not worse, just fundamentally different. And today, you're about to discover if yours is one of them. Most people go through life assuming everyone thinks the way they do. They believe their internal experience is universal. But psychology has uncovered something extraordinary. Cognitive diversity is far more extreme than we ever realized. Some people think in vivid images. Others think in pure concepts with no pictures at all. Some have an ongoing internal monologue narrating their every move. Others experience thought as wordless sensation. If you've ever wondered why communication feels so difficult, why someone can't grasp what seems obvious to you, this is why. You're not speaking different languages. You're operating different hardware. Close your eyes and picture an apple. What happened? Did a photorealistic apple appear? Red skin, light reflecting, maybe a leaf attached? Or something abstract, a vague sense of apple without detail? Or perhaps nothing at all, just the concept, understood, but not seen. If that last one describes you, you might have aphantasia, the inability to visualize mental images. An estimated 2 to 5% of people have this, and many don't realize until adulthood because they assumed everyone was speaking metaphorically about picturing things. Imagine not knowing that when people count sheep to sleep, they actually see sheep. You've been living in a world where everyone has a superpower you don't have, and you never knew. The reverse exists too, hyperphantasia, mental imagery so vivid it's nearly indistinguishable from real perception. People with this can close their eyes and watch entire movies in perfect detail, recall faces with photographic precision, design complex structures purely in imagination. Nikola Tesla claimed he could test entire machines in his mind before building them. If you have this, you probably assumed everyone could do it. And when you realized they can't, the world suddenly made sense. Now consider your internal monologue. Right now, is there a voice in your head reading these words? Does it comment throughout your day? For most people, yes. But studies suggest 25 to 50% of people don't have a constant internal narrator. Their thoughts exist as wordless knowing, impulses that bypass language entirely. They don't talk to themselves because there's no voice. When they decide, they just know. If this is you, you've wondered why people say, I talked myself into it. You don't talk to yourself. You just are. Here's where it gets strange. The presence or absence of internal monologue affects not just how we think, but what we can think. Language allows certain types of abstract reasoning and planning. Meanwhile, people without constant verbal thought often report being more present, less anxious, more connected to immediate experience. They're not trapped in narrative. They exist more fully in the now. How do you experience time? People with ADHD experience time dilation differently than neurotypical individuals. What feels like 5 minutes might actually be 30. Their brain's internal clock runs at a different speed. Imagine living where time moves unpredictably, where you're perpetually shocked by how much has passed, always late despite best intentions, not because you don't care, but because your subjective experience of duration doesn't match reality. Now imagine being judged your entire life for this, called irresponsible, when you're operating with fundamentally different temporal processing.
Consider emotional processing. Alexithymia is difficulty identifying and describing your own emotions. People feel things intensely, but can't name what they're feeling or why. When asked, how are you feeling, they draw a blank. Not because they're emotionally stunted, but because their brain doesn't automatically categorize internal states into labels like sad or anxious. They might feel chest tightness, limb heaviness, buzzing energy, but translating that into nervous requires conscious effort others do automatically. If you have this, you've been told you're emotionally unavailable, but you're not withholding, you genuinely don't have the translation manual everyone else seems born with. Then there's synesthesia, where sensory experiences crosswire extraordinarily. Some people taste words. Laura tastes like butter. Steven tastes like dirt. Music has colors. C major is yellow. E minor is deep blue. Numbers have personalities. 7 is confident and male. 3 is shy and female. For roughly 4% of the population, reality is fundamentally more layered than for everyone else. If you're a synesthete, you probably thought everyone experienced this until someone looked at you like you were crazy when you mentioned Tuesday is obviously light green. Perhaps the most profound difference lies in pattern recognition. Some minds are high systemizers. They automatically detect patterns and systems in everything. They see the world as an interconnected machine understood through analysis. They notice inconsistencies instantly. When someone's story doesn't add up, they know through logical contradiction. They're drawn to mathematics, programming, engineering, fields where systems dominate. If this is you, you've been told you overthink everything, but you're not choosing to analyze. Your brain automatically extracts patterns whether you want it or not. It's exhausting, but involuntary. The opposite exists. High empathizers, whose brains automatically simulate others' emotional states. When they see pain, their pain receptors activate. When they see joy, their reward centers light up. They absorb a room's emotional atmosphere within seconds. This isn't mystical, it's hyperactive mirror neurons. If this is you, crowds are overwhelming. Violent movies are unbearable. Other people's stress becomes yours. You've been told you're too sensitive your whole life. But your nervous system isn't weak, it's incredibly perceptive, processing emotional data others don't register. Here's what's fascinating. These aren't disorders, they're variations. The same trait celebrated in one context is pathologized in another. Pattern recognition that makes someone a brilliant scientist can manifest as obsessive worry. Emotional sensitivity that makes someone a gifted therapist can lead to anxiety. Intense focus that allows mastery can mean forgetting to eat for 12 hours. Context determines whether we call something a gift or disorder. We exist on spectrums. Visualization ability, spectrum. Internal monologue, spectrum. Emotional awareness, spectrum. Sensory sensitivity, spectrum. Pattern recognition, spectrum. There is no normal brain. You are an intersection of dozens of cognitive traits, each varying in intensity, creating a unique configuration that has never existed before and will never exist again. Your mind is not normal because nobody's mind is normal.
But here's the tragedy. We assume everyone experiences consciousness the way we do. We judge people for not doing things that might be neurologically impossible for them. We feel broken because we can't do things others find effortless. We hide parts of ourselves because we've learned they're weird. Meanwhile, everyone around us is doing the same thing, secretly convinced they're the only one. So let me ask directly, do you think in pictures or concepts? Do you have a voice in your head? Can you visualize memories or just know they happened? Do emotions feel clear or like undefined storms? Do you notice patterns everywhere? Do you absorb others' feelings? Do you lose time easily? Do you experience sounds as colors? There are no wrong answers, but your answers reveal the particular kind of consciousness you inhabit. Once you understand your cognitive configuration, once you realize your weird traits are documented variations that millions share, everything changes. You stop trying to force your brain to work like someone else's. You stop feeling broken. You stop apologizing for being sensitive, analytical, or for thinking differently. You start building a life that works with your brain instead of against it. You find others who think like you, and suddenly you're understood. And you start extending this understanding to others. That analytical person, maybe they're a high systemizer with alexithymia. They care but can't express it as expected. That flaky person, maybe they have time blindness. They're not disrespecting you, they're struggling with temporal processing.
That person avoiding loud bars, maybe they're a high empathizer. It's not avoidance, it's self-preservation. Once you realize different minds process reality differently, judgment dissolves. Compassion emerges. Connection becomes possible. The human mind is not a uniform machine with defects. It's a wildly diverse ecosystem of consciousness, each variation offering unique strengths and challenges. Your brain isn't broken. It's a specific model, optimized for certain tasks, less equipped for others. The question isn't whether you're normal. The question is, do you understand your operating system well enough to work with it? So if you think differently, if you've always felt like your mind works in ways others don't understand, you're not alone. You're part of the vast, beautiful diversity of human cognition. Your mind isn't normal, and that's exactly as it should be. Because normal doesn't exist. There's only you and the extraordinary way you experience being alive. Somewhere out there, someone thinks like you, and they've spent their whole life believing they're the only one. Your story might be the permission they need to stop hiding. Your difference might be the mirror that helps them see they're not broken, just different. And different, as it turns out, is the only thing any of us have ever been.